Good afternoon. It is November 14th, and we're about a week and a half after the 2020 election. And the outcome, finally, is Biden won. I was about right when it came to how many people were going to vote. I had predicted about 150 million, and just slightly more than that, it did vote. Um, I was a little bit off on the electoral college, um, in that I was, in most of my models, I was in the mid, by the time of the election, I was in the mid 300s, 340 ish. That's where I was. We ended up at 306, it looks like. And if you look a little bit closer, there are four states that takes Biden from 306 to 406, exactly almost. 100 electoral votes more, four votes, four states. And those four states are Ohio, Texas, North Carolina, and Florida. Just four states. And the Democrats go from 306 electoral votes to 406. They came close in all four states. Not close enough, but that's okay. Um, of course, it sure seems like the Republicans and Trump are doing everything they possibly can to hold on. Um, and I don't think they are going to be able to. Um, the amount of people that voted for Biden and the Democrats, uh, it was a lot of people, uh, well above 75 million people. Trump received about 72 million, and Biden received about 5 million more. It is a huge victory, actually, because again, electoral vote wise, it looks close, but popular vote, he actually won by a lot. 5 million is a lot of votes. And again, just looking at the electoral college, you can go from 306 to 406 with four states: Ohio, Florida, North Carolina, and Texas. And Biden was not far off in any of those states. Now, I was predicting most of the time that um, that's how the Democrats were going to get to 400, was with those four states. Before the election, I had pretty much come to the conclusion that Ohio and Florida were probably going to go Republican. North Carolina, I wasn't sure. Texas, I wasn't sure. Texas and really all four of those states are sure looking blue in the near future. Um, One last thing about the election, and then we're going to talk about something that's more important. And that is that the Senate is still up for grabs, in that there are two Georgia seats remaining. Right now, the Republicans are up 50 to 48. Democrats need to get both of those seats in January, for them to control the Senate. Because if it turns out to be a 50-50 split, the vice president becomes the president um, of the Senate and breaks all ties. And of course, she's a Democrat. She would be the 51st Democrat, and so the Senate would belong to the Democrats, and the Democratic agenda would have a much easier um, way to travel to become law. And that's what we're going to get to. Most of the people in this country most of the news outlets still refuse to talk about really the big issues. The big issues are not whether it's going to be Democrat or Republican, Biden or Trump, or anything like that. The real story is, or it should be, how far left is Biden going to go, and is he going to go left at all and just stay to the center right? Um, that's the big that's the big question, and every day it looks somewhat clearer in that Biden is in certain spots heading a little bit left. I think he's putting his toes in the water, but this is an old dog who is not sure how many new tricks he's going to do. Um, I'm giving him a chance. People like my brother don't want to give him any chance and are upset that he's even elected. He hates Trump, but equally hates Biden, in that Biden's record over his entire life is horrible. I agree, but I'm still willing to give him a shot. He's human, and it's the first time he's president. He now has the power, and he sits in the same situation as Lyndon Johnson did when he became president. Lyndon Johnson had been a lion of the Senate for a couple of decades, a gigantic leader, and he was able to, when he became president, push the left wing agenda of the Democratic Party and made it the Great Society. He's second only to Franklin Roosevelt in pushing domestic policy in the history of this country. So Biden is on the possibility. He's on that track of possibility that he could grab history by the gazangas and say, hey, I'm going to throw caution to the wind now. I've been here for 45, 47 years. Now I'm in power, and it's time for me to move all the way left. Biden did grow up with John F. Kennedy as his hero, or one of his heroes, and the Kennedy brothers and Martin Luther King. Biden grew up during the Vietnam War, as I did. He's older than I am by a lot still, but he grew up during a similar time. And it's possible, as a human being, that he turns left. This country really needs it. And let's get to the core of everything, of why we're here. We're here because we need to talk about the issues that mean the most to millions and millions of people. One, green energy and pollution and climate change. And all of that needs to be addressed and attacked, and there needs to be change in policy of outlawing uh, uh, fossil fuel engines within 2 or 3 years. They must be illegal after only a few years. It must be illegal to drive in this country with fossil fuel engines in 5 years. To manufacture them, 2 years. To drive them, 5. Finished. The era of oil must be over. And with the cleaning of our air and the cleaning of our land and our water, since oil would not be required anymore and is our number one polluter, and we also are able to create 100 million new jobs because you're going to be changing the way cars are built and vehicles are built of all types. We're talking about replacing America's inventory of autos and vehicles. There's 2 to 400 million vehicles on American roads. It will take decades or a decade or so to replace them. And the amount of jobs, it knows no bounds. Related to that is changing our overall energy to wind power and solar. And why we are not doing that at 100 miles an hour, at a million miles an hour, is beyond me, because it would make all the products that America makes cheaper. We would be able to increase our trade surpluses around the world because our products would become cheaper, because our products would be produced by energy produced by the sun. So all the way around, it is a gigantic victory. It would be a gigantic human change to do simply a few things that are required for survival. The amount of wealth is limitless, and it would be distributed to everybody in our country in every single way. So by purchasing better products that will last longer, products that are going to clean the earth instead of destroy the earth, and all the outer rings of the things that are important: single payer health care, free higher education, etc., etc., etc. Housing that is affordable, transportation coast to coast by rail and freight cars, coast to coast, high speed. There are so many jobs that are waiting, so many projects waiting to commence from one side of the country to the other. Huge bridges, huge amounts of roads, uh, train beds, rail beds. There's a revolution of energy and jobs and education and transportation. And with that, a revolution of progressive taxation, where Social Security and all the social net is completely strengthened for everybody in this country, and the end of warfare and the nuclear age and all of that is simply ended, because it has been a waste from day one. Has been around during the baby boomer generation. Every single day that we've been alive, my generation have seen this nuclear age of waste, of destruction, of killing, of radiation. It has damaged the earth. It has damaged our generation to no end. It has been a complete and utter failure, and it has done nothing but poison our political process. It has poisoned our earth, and nuclear power simply must become a thing of the past. So those are the things that we need to do as a nation and as a planet. And another thing that must be reinstated, and there must be a new era, is the era of the United Nations that Franklin Roosevelt, again, his brilliance comes out. Uh, the age of the United Nations, not only for war and peace, but for health worldwide, for food worldwide. There's no shortage of things that the United Nations can and must do. The age of warfare is simply got to end, or humanity will end. It's one or the other. So we have the way ahead of us to go to right the ship, right humanity, and right our planet, get it right. We have the time if we are steadfast and are willing to actually take advantage and spread the wealth that a clean energy policy and a single payer healthcare system will provide. The jobs are endless. The upside is without horizon. Just one set of projects would be 5 new crossings across the Hudson, 3 brand new tunnels, 2 brand new bridges. That project alone is nearly $1 trillion, and it is worth hundreds of trillions. Another major project would be to link the large cities of Texas, of Houston, El Paso, Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, etc., with other Western cities and state from St. Louis and Chicago down through to Miami, out to Las Vegas and Los Angeles, and all the way to Seattle for high speed rail and high speed um, passenger. There is absolutely no reason why the people of this country, the people of the South, the people of Texas, people of the western part of this country are not riding on the best high speed rail in this solar system. No reason why they're not taking advantage of it right now. The jobs that they can be taking advantage of, the money that it to be made, the wealth that the families of the West and the South uh, could be taken advantage of on these kind of projects. It is endless. The amount of wealth is endless if a person with vision and a person with the presidential power that Biden has, and I believe he has that vision. I believe he's got it. Um, if he takes advantage of it and is able to throw off the yoke of corruption, he could become by far one of the greatest presidents and beyond. Um, well, let's see what happens. I am willing to see what happens. This is it, though. For the Democratic Party, if they don't get this right, there is no going back. Not for me. And for the baby boom generation, it's going to be over. We need to get it right. We need to get it right for our descendants. We need to get this right. Finally, and once and for all, we need to get this right. Um, I think that's about it. Okay. Thank God Biden won. As everybody who has watched me or read anything that I've written He was not my first or second or third choice. He may turn out, I hope, to be the best choice. Thanks a lot.